Well, hi, I'm Tom, and you'll soon find out I'm kind of new to this whole talking to the camera thing, so I'm going to look at the computer screen all the time because I always think that they look ugly, and I must concentrate that I'm not looking ugly. Sorry. Yeah, currently I live in Israel, and that's kind of relevant to me talking about it. Let's just start. I'm going to talk about what I feel is the correct definition for cultural appropriation, because I think that a lot of times you can go through this and find the ways to show how it's not applicable in some cases if you take one of the parts away. So I'm going to try to build a case about what it is. Well, the first part is an adopting of a culture or of a part of a culture. When we do that, we're taking some symbol, something out of a culture, and we're trying to apply it to ourselves. Now, that is, in most cases, perfectly fine. The second part is misrepresenting that culture. So if you take that culture and you apply it in a perfect form, you know its history and know its traditions and you know the whole atmosphere around it, it usually will be okay when you do so. The third part is a part that it's kind of hotly debated, but I hope that we'll be okay talking about it even though it's about a stance of power. So I cannot culturally appropriate a culture that I don't have a sense of power in regards, or that I'm not oppressing, or I'm not participating in a group that's oppressing it. So, for example, Jewish people have adopted many cultures in Europe or in Arab countries. Of course, that's not cultural appropriation, because they are oppressed by those same people. Adopting the cultures of the people that are oppressing you is kind of necessary to live. And the last point is about offending. So I'll try now to take apart pieces and see how we go through it. So, for example, I know about the use of some Japanese cultures. If you take away the offense people, you'll find that a lot of times, a lot of white people are doing the first three things. But at some scenarios, you can find that it just doesn't offend, and even some Japanese people find it kind of nice that people respect their culture in that way, and that it's affecting other people, and that's good. And you know what? That's kind of nice. You could also say the same about some Jewish ideas. It's some of the Jewish ideas that are out there are just out there for you to use, to apply to your own life. We can even continue it to other places. For example, in LGBT culture was adopted and misrepresented, and at times was misrepresented. When it's not misrepresenting it, you can see how a lot of times LGBT people will love to take part in it, even though it's a straight person doing it. A lot of times there are these things where a place that does have power is adopting the culture and does offend some people. By not misrepresenting it, doesn't make it a whole group against group. It just becomes kind of, part of the group just goes with it and part doesn't, and it's quite hotly debated, because obviously there's going to be people that are going to see it as misrepresenting it. But I do think that we can get to an understanding about how some of these issues are not even applicable for a debate about misrepresenting the culture. So sometimes you can just see that's exactly what it is. For example, what a lot of American people did to the natives of the areas of northern America, even though it's kind of annoying to use that word. By the way, if you have a better word for me to use, I would gladly use it. And you can see how there is no debate about the misrepresentation of the culture that they had. There is no debate of it. It's just decided, and we can have a debate about why this happens like this, but it is what it is. And there you could divert it between different things. If it does have the stance of power, well, it usually does, but if it has the stance of power but it doesn't offend people, then maybe at most of those times it's kind of okay. And if we get to the part of there's this idea that I'm kind of intrigued by about Christianity being a cultural appropriation of Judaism, but it involves quite a lot of conspiracy theories that I frankly don't want to deal with. But you just take it and try to see how it fits. But you can make the statement that it does not have the stance of power there. So the early Christians were not in stance of power regarding the Jewish population. So at that time at least, it wasn't something like that. Maybe in later times it became something as that, but still. Now, I kind of think I covered most of it. Is there a way to misrepresent a culture without adopting it? I guess you could. You could spread misinformation about it. But then if you don't adopt it, then you're not fulfilling the requirement of actually doing it. So if you're just thinking about it wrong, I guess that's kind of okay. That's kind of my first video. My videos will be unedited and full of shit. I'm sorry in advance. And please tell me more about what you would like to see.